Good evening, everyone. A quick sound check. Thank you. Just wait for a minute more so that everyone can join in before we start. Once again, good evening to everyone. And we are here for another session where we'll be looking at how we can make use of order flow to take trades in options. So right now we have the chart of Nifty futures. We have a market profile chart just for the context of what happened in Nifty futures yesterday and today. So as we can see, Friday we had a neutral extreme day down where we left this FA at 22325. So of Friday, which was at 22237, was our reference, because as long as Nifty futures remained below this, that FA was in play. And the FA, we consider the failed auction to be a good swing reference. And once we get a failed auction, we look for a 180R move to the other side. So that 180R move to the other side was a 22088. So which was exactly the low we made yesterday. And today again, yesterday we opened higher and we went on to hit that 22088. And if you can see in this profile, the dashed line of 22100, this is the neutral extreme VWAP of 22nd of February, which was last week's weekly settlement of Nifty futures. So we know how we had a big short covering move in the afternoon on that day. So that day's VWAP was where we were getting demand coming back into the market yesterday. So this held and we left a small buying tail yesterday from 22099 to 22088. So two things the auction did. It first completed the 180R objective of the FA and it did not find fresh supply there. Had it found fresh supply at that 180R level, we would have looked for the 280R on the downside. But as we got this buying tail, it looked as if the sellers were getting exhausted or they were completing and they were booking out. So yesterday's profile was a well balanced one and it was a normal variation day down and it had formed lower value. So today the bias was definitely still to the downside because we formed lower value, but we had to move away from the value which we made yesterday. So, but what happened today was we remained in yesterday's range. It was an open auction in range with A and B making similar lows. And we had the typical seaside extension in Nifty futures from where we went on to probe higher for the rest of the day. So we did get pullbacks and it was not a straight line. But after the seaside, we were making higher lows and higher highs. So this is a FA again today, which was confirmed because we have closed above the IBH and we almost went on to tag the highs of yesterday. So speaking of this context, we'll start with the 22,300 put, which we'll watch of yesterday, 26th of December. This is a 3-minute order flow chart. And we will see the context which I have already told you in our analysis. So this is 9:15 of yesterday and we have started. There is no good signal over here. In fact, we are getting reds, more reds, and we have got zeros on the down signal as of now of taking any long trade in this put. This is the 22,300 put of yesterday morning, and this is the 3-minute order flow chart. So what it does at the POC and the VWAP of that particular day gives an important reference. So we have these row of reds in the opening bar, which is the which was right at the 206 level. And from here we got rejected and we left this IS. So this becomes a reference. 203 becomes a reference because this is the first IS of the day. And for a follow up, in case you're looking at selling options, we look for one more IS after this and keep this IS high as a stop loss. But what happens is, in even though we made this good break below VWAP at the close of the A period, and this is the B period where we made those new highs in the futures, and this P saw new lows coming in. But what happened here was we got zeros at the bottom, and immediately it got rejected, and this is a good nice bar, which is more like an IB bar because the POC is in the middle and it is closed at the highs. And what it does in the next bar is takes out the POC of this big red bar. uh, Audio is clear, guys? Audio test, voice check. Is the voice clear now? Am I coming across? Fine, thanks. So moving forward, so what will happen is this 948 bar is what is one good signal which you want to take trade off. So you will keep getting these examples. I'll tell you why this is good. One, because we have got rejected from new lows. We have got zeros at the bottom. And then this itself, the 945 bar itself is a good green bar with the POC in the middle. And the next bar is not only taking out VWAP and but the POC also. And what it has done, it has closed at the highs and it has negated this IS also. So this bar, speaking of context, and because we were looking at more downside in Nifty futures because of what had happened on Friday. So when you have the context in mind and when you get this signal, this is definitely a very good trade, which a good well-defined risk. So even if you're uh, looking for taking a trade at 206, your stop loss would be the POC of this bar, which is at 184. So once you have this, what will be your targets? You can have your targets based upon either your stop loss or on the other references, which is the IBH, the initial balance high, or the uh, POCs which have not been tagged on the upside. So here, even if we take a simple calculation of having our targets at the risk, uh, whatever the risk is would be our first target, 2 times the risk would be the second, and 3 times the risk would be the third target. So even if we take that, the entry, if it is 206 and the stop loss is 184, our targets would be 228, 250, and 272. So this is when I'm talking about the first signal you're getting in the day. And this is when the signal is matching with the context you have for the day, the plan you have for the day. So once you go long, you will look for the first target, which is a 228, and you will hold on till that is hit. This almost hit 228. We've got zeros, but nothing to lose because this is again an IB bar. So you will hold your first part at the 228 level, and you will push your stop loss now to your cost, which is 206. So you're looking at three targets or whatever. The IBH is also here. So this is also one booking point. Unless you get an IS, you can look to hold on to your trade where you have gone long in with a IB signal. And this signal is even more powerful because it has got IB plus IB again. So you can also take this low as your stop loss, but because our entry is at 206, we can take this as our trailing stop loss. And you you tag the IBH, you see that it is not able to penetrate, but still you have already booked and you have nothing to lose. The second target is at 250, so we hold on with our stop loss, and here we can see the good IB bars are holding the lows. And once you are in a trade, the VWAP of that particular strike becomes an important reference. So if you're long, the VWAP needs to hold. If it has to be above VWAP for you to consider having more upsides. So here we have got an IS bar. So this could be a point where you could get out, or you have nothing much to lose. So you hold on and see if it is still able to manage to stay above VWAP. Let us stick on with the trade because it is a no, a risk-free trade. We are not going to lose any money out of that. So it holds on and it negates that IS. So when an IS is negated in a uptrend and it is above VWAP, it is a signal that there is some more upside which is left. So which is what happened. It continued to form that range between 215 and the IBH, and then finally it went on to make a fresh RE, because this junction was the seaside. In seaside we are very careful and we don't consider seaside to be in the direction of the trend, because most of the time they give you contra moves. So it did not give any contra move, but it did give this dip to 215 twice. So when it is making a fresh extension in the D, this is definitely a good signal. So what it does is it goes on to hit that second target of 250 in this bar, but this is also a good RS bar. So what you do with your position, in case you are holding multiple parts, you book another part here, or if you are holding 50-50%, you book everything out because you have hit 1 and 2 targets. And in case you plan to hold one more lot, your final target would be the 272 mark, and the stop loss for that would still be your entry point. So we just consider, even if you're not in the trade, that 206 would be an important reference on the downside along with VWAP, and the objective of this setup would be that 272 mark. So all said and done, because we have not got any further IB signals, it is wise to book out in this. But just for the sake of what the objectives are when an auction gives a signal, I'm just taking you through that the 206 entry was not violated, and then we went on to make new highs just before the G period started, which again was an RS, because you have these rows of this high exactly at 272 when the G period started. So just like the C period, we give lot of importance to the G, especially when we have an open auction start. So we are extra alert in the G period because it can leave probable highs or lows for the day. So just like in the C side, we get an RS, we look for a C side move back to VWAP if it is on the upside. And if it is on the downside, if we get an RB, we do the same thing once it gets back into the initial balance. So here we can see once it is hit new highs in the G period, we have got an RS. And our targets for the day is done. So this becomes your reference. Till the point 270 does not get taken out, you can consider this up move in the put to be over. And then what happens, it slowly gives a small retracement. We've got a IS bar, two IS for the first time in the day together, like after one after each other. So this tells you when you have to completely come out of the bull bear good reversal trade for people who sell options also. Taking the same signal, once you know the final objective is done and you've got an RS plus IS, you go short and you book part at the VWAP, and then hold on with VWAP as your reference. And I'll just run through what the important lines are in the order flow chart, which will give you important clues about holding a position, entering a fresh position, or booking out from a position. So this is the IBH and the IBL, which is the yellow dotted lines. Then you have the green line, which is the VWAP, and then you have the bold white line, which is the POC. So when do we consider the the move to be complete? Once when we consider the move to start, which is when we get an initiative buyer or a seller at the VWAP or at the POC of the option, which is what we saw in the 945 bar, 948 bar, where we got an IB signal, initiative buying signal, which went above the POC and the VWAP of that option, and from there we got a good move higher. So here again, we went on to reverse from the 272 and we are making these lows. We again look for more signals to hold on to short if you're short. Otherwise, we just pull out of the position and wait for the next signal. So as we can see, this PE was more of giving up the premium. So it went on to make these news lows of 183, which was the opening bar IB POC. So this is only later in the day once it tested this morning IB. So I'll just take you back to the opening bar. This 183 we got at 945, and after which so you can see this, it is this POC of 183, which was our original stop loss when we entered that trade once we got this IB. So this is where it came back and retraced. So it has tested the starting point, you can say, and from there is where it gave that rebound. Watching the order flow and keeping the references of that, you can just see 183.55 and the POC is at 184. So it has stopped right at that same level and gone back to given a quick bounce to 240, which is the IBH. So, and as I said, what happens at IBH and IBL gives you indication of what it is wanting to do. So when we stalled right at the IBH and got a zero on the buy side, definitely if you are long in this put, you will book out. So you can see how immediately it is given this day. So this is what the 22,300 put was like yesterday. So we have the context of the same of today that yesterday was a normal variation day where we tested that neutral extreme VWAP and we could not uh, break sustain below it. So I'll just take a small break here and invite you for any queries you have regarding what we have covered so far before we can take this same order flow chart for today and see what kind of signals we got. So yes, POC is the point of control. Point of control is the level where you have the highest volumes. So it's a very important reference when we are using market profile and order flow because it is telling us where the highest concentration of the volumes is. So you will need to first figure out what is the signal you are getting with the POC. For what I showed you earlier in the 948 bar, we were around the lows and we got one IB POC. So what you can do is you can see from that signal if the POC is shifting higher, because you want the POC to keep shifting higher, because that is what shows the buyers are in control. And when you are in a down move or you have shorted and the POC from the top is shifting to the downside, it means that the sellers who had initiated the move are booking out. So that profit booking is what brings the POC lower. So you need to take it with the context of what the signal is showing, and then there'll be no confusion as such. And in case there is any confusion, then you just let out of be out of that particular setup. You cannot say there are false IBs and IS, Chirag, but we will need to first take into context, and we don't take individual bars, we take it as a combination. And that is why what we do is we take the order flow on a 30-minute and a 3-minute. So the 30-minute will keep our bias about what we need to watch and accordingly take trades in the 3 minutes. So if you are getting multiple IBs and IS together, you know that it is a market which you have to stay out of. So as we have already uh, been making very clear that IB plus IB is your buy signal, and the closer the IBs are together, the better the signal is. And each signal lasts for the T plus 10 bars. So once I'm getting a signal at 9:30, that signal is valid till 10 o'clock. So by 10 o'clock, if I'm not getting my target or if the stop loss is not getting hit and there is no opposite signal coming in the order flow, then it may be time to revisit and scratch it. And yes, scott is was negative today because we it is the expiry week. There are a lot of contracts which are getting closed in the February series. So the expiry week you need to be a little bit more careful about the cot. And whenever we are getting big numbers in the order flow chart, do compare it with the new series so that we can make out what where the rollovers are. So any more queries, guys? And yes, if you are confused, then just go to the 30-minute order flow and look at the 30-minute references of what the auction is doing and what should be your bias. Fine. Then do we move on with the same put chart for today and see and then what we'll do is we'll look at 122,000 call chart order flow for today. So we can compare both of them before we can wind up for today. Same 22,300 put, and this is from today's open. So here we can see we have got zeros at the top. So there is not much demand seen at the open. So when we have opened lower in it was an open auction in range, but we have not got any fresh buy signals over here. So then we just make a range. We have not got any IBs, any IS. This is the first IB we get, but immediately so this is just a balance which is forming, and the open type of being an open auction in range told us that we need to be patient with the trades. You can see here the B period is tagging the first hour low, but it was not breaking that. So if this would have broken this on an IS, we could have still looked for a more downside. And what happened from there is it went on to probe higher to this IBH. And this is our typical seaside extension. So this yellow dotted line, which I said is the IBH, you can see this is the seaside at 924, where we have got above the IBH but left an RS back to back in 6 minutes has left two RS bars outside the IBH. So this is a sign that the upside is getting limited. And after this, we have got this IS. So this IS is just stalling at VWAP. But the picture is clear here. Unless you break above 253, you are not getting any long buy in this put. So you can see this 252 was not taken out entire day. And after this, once we broke below 252, we have got this IS. reference. So we see what the order flow is doing on bounces to VWAP. So this particular bounce at 11:15 gave this option seller, and you have sold this option based on that seaside extension and that IS. You can keep trailing and you can keep uh, looking for tighter stop losses with this. So we have not, as you can see, we have not got any trend after which we have just been drifting lower. We are below VWAP and we are making lower lows. So this is what, and this can be a fresh selling which is happening, which can take it down even further. And coming to the POC, so this is one classic example you can look at. So here, see, we are biased on the downside here. If we get a down move, that is the sign that you need to book and trail. So this ISPOC and the IS high will definitely continue to remain your reference, but you will book profits once you see this POC shifting down. So this is definitely a profit booking signal, and you will have to make sure that you book profits in this. So this is how you will watch the chart for signals, and I'll just run through this very fast so that we'll go to the CE which has got the better signals. No, we have got this IB plus IB. So we know this has come after the POC is shifted. So in this context, you can definitely take a trade on this IB plus IB, but your targets would be limited because we are in a down move and this is just a retracement. So we need to know in the context of the day what the order flow and the what the auction is doing. So we will definitely have to book at VWAP and this IBL level because we are in a move lower from the morning. If we are getting IBs at this VWAP and IBH, then you can tell that the trend has reversed. But what are we getting here? We are getting a classic RS bar with 1400 sell. So this is how again we go about it. Again, we are getting a RS bar. So this is how you need to know that which are the signals you want to take and which is a retracement and which is a trending move. So when you are trading of this IB plus IB, make sure you don't confuse that to be a long-term signal. Because for a long-term trend to be on the upside, yeah, I'm talking about the day's trend or the 30-minute trend, we need to be above VWAP and the IBH. Here, this is the IBL we are, and we are not even able to get back into the IB. So that is where you need to mark which of the order flow signals are worth holding for a longer period of time and which one are only for a retracement, which you will have to book at important references. That is just a short retracement we got, and that was only because the POC has shifted down and there was profit being put on the seller side. So you can see this at the VWAP we are getting RS. So these are signs that this put is not getting any upside. And here we went go on to make new lows for the day. So this is how you have it clearly that how to what kind of trades to do in which option. So here we have closed right at the POC. The POC is where it was balancing for the late afternoon. So we'll need to see what signal we get from here on the next session. So I'll just quickly take questions about this before I show you the call option chart of today, 22,200, and we'll do a quick review of the probable trades. POC shifting lower, that is what I was explaining in the order flow also, because we were getting IS signals in that put for today, and we were making lower lows. We were making range extensions to the downside. So when the POC shifted down, it is definitely a booking point for the sellers. It is, And if we would have got a fresh IS there, then we could have taken the high of the IS or the POC before the IS signal and then taken a fresh move lower. So any more queries on this, guys, before we move on to the call order flow chart? We will have a look at the Bank Nifty at the close. I have one Bank Nifty put chart for today, which we'll review the 3-minute order flow. I think I have the 46,800 put. So we'll quickly go through that and I'll show you how the Seaside gave a very good classic move in that put today. So any more queries on what we have completed so far, guys? And do we move on to the 22,200 call? Okay, fine. So moving forward, you have the 3-minute order flow chart of the 22,000 call of 29th February. This is of today's. And here we can see how we have got zeros at the bottom and we immediately get this IB bar. So it is still an open auction in range. So we will need some more confirmation. So we want one more IB before we can take a long, because the main trend, as I said, was down. Only thing was yesterday we tested the neutral extreme VWAP and we found support there. We left a small buying tail, but value formed lower. So we need two IBs at least together so that we can take a long trade in a call. If it was a put, if the trend was continuing from yesterday, it would have been easier for us to trade off a single IB or a single IS bar. But here we will need to look for more. So what do we do? Once the initial range is established, we would want to see the higher end get one more IB. So here we made this high of 223. So we want to get fresh buy volumes over here. But what we are getting here is the RS bars. So we just wait till the TH level. So once you have a range, you want that range to exceed when the IB gives you a signal. Just like what we saw in the 22,300 put, where that IB closed at the highs, taking out the VWAP and the POC. So here we would want, because we are above the VWAP, we would want a IB bar which closes above this IBH. And more importantly, because we have got multiple RS signals here, we have got bars which is making highs right at this IBH and not unable to sustain above this. So we just wait out. We wait what happens, and this is again the seaside. So and what are we seeing here in the call? It is making new lows. 79, it made a low of 180 and then it made this 170 strongest, because we have formed two RBs, right? And here, as you can see, this POC also is shifted lower to the IB. The seaside setup tells us to take a trade once we get back into the IB with a stop loss of the lows of the period with a small filter. So this 177 would be our reference to remain, to go long, to book one part. So here when we see that we are not getting any IS bars, and this being a seaside, this bar is a good bar to go long with the stop loss defined here and a target of VWAP. So it goes on to tag VWAP. Then what you do is you trail your rest of the positions to this IB low, which is 183. So this is what we do. This is the first signal we got in this call, which was through a seaside. And once we get back above VWAP, although we have not got any IBs, 190, or we wait for a fresh IB bar. So we just wait out this period we have got this IS bar, but you can see the low is at 195. So this IB bar is still holding, and the test of VWAP is equal to 225. So this IB bar is still holding. negated by this IB. So we know the path is still to the upside. We are looking for more upside, but again, this IB is not a buy signal because it has not taken out the previous highs and the IB hedge. So again, we see we are getting RS signals right at the IB hedge level, which is got this 936 seller right at top and an IS signal. This signal, when you see, whatever your bias for the day is, how much ever bullish you are, you will definitely get out of any positions you have in this call, because this is an IS bar and it has come at the IB hedge with a big seller at the top. And you would want this level to be taken out to go long further in this call. So here then, as expected, you start to form a balance. You go on to make new lows. It breaks that 195 level where it had taken support before. And here again, if you remember, this 184 is the lows of the opening bar. So this is the IBL. So what is the order flow showing us at IBL? From this RS, we have come lower and we have formed this RB. This is still holding. Our long trade in the C side was an entry into the IB, which was at this 184 level, and our stop loss was that 177 low, which we made in the C side. So when this is holding and showing as an RB, you can still expect that you are in for more upside in this call. And as I said, this IS bar being negated is very important for us to be having any chance of looking for more upside. So from this RB, we slowly make way back above the VWAP, and this IS bar is a very good signal to go long for two reasons. One, because it is taken support at the IBL, and then it is taken out the VWAP, and for the first time in the day, it has closed above the IB hedge and negating that IS signal of 227. Our enter would be somewhere at 237. But when once you know that you have got a big IS at 227, we can have a buy above trade for this kind of a setup. And immediately once the bar closes, we can have the POC of the previous bar, which is at 220 as our trailing stop loss. So once we took that out, this was a fresh imbalance. It went on to make these highs of 259, where we can see this IS bar being negated, and you will trail your entry to cost. And you will see how this IB bar, this 220 would remain our reference to get a re-entry in case we have missed out on this up move, or look for order flow to give us some good signals. So here you can see we have made new highs of 263, but again we have got a big seller. So this is where it shows that you have to be definitely booking out in this zone. We cannot go fresh long here just because it has made new highs, because this bar and it has got a good red card. This had been an IB and it had closed at the highs. It could have taken us further ahead, but it was not to be. So this, and even if you're not out of this bar, definitely an opposite signal of an IS will tell you to completely come out of that position. So then move on, we go on to retrace the move higher, we immediately make the VWAP also. So here it is very clear why it was showing those booking out signals. We were getting these big reds here. So you should definitely, this is very clearly telling you that it needs to further go down. So here we did get this RB and this IB, but again, the last, you need to go with the latest last signal, and any fresh opposite signal we should be able to negate the previous signal. So this IB, after immediately after this IB, we should have gone above this IS bar, but that was not the case. In fact, we could not even take out the POC of this IS bar. So then we went on to make these new lows. So this 195 is a very good reference from the morning. This is the IB hedge, and So this was that signal which got above VWAP, and this was the lows and the POC. So this was a very good sign. So you can see in order flow these POCs keep getting extended on the right side, so that you are aware about what the important references are. So whenever you know that you're getting a good RB signal right at that level, so you can see back to back two lines being taken support. You've got an RB here, and then again on this dip you've got it is not an RB, but it is got support right at that level. So this IB, which is got above VWAP, is again telling you that it can go for upside with your stop loss well defined at this lows or this 191 level. So this is how you want to uh, read the order flow charts and take positions as per the references it is, and made this balance at V support right at this low of the IB bar. So for you to be aware about which is the prevailing move in that option would be the latest signal, the low of that signal, and if it is able to stay above VWAP. In case it's an IB, we will need to stay above VWAP. And at the same time, the upside levels also need to be marked, in the sense you need to know where the last either should continue if they're able to take that off, or if it is stalling there, you have to book out and it is no longer bullish. So I'll just quickly move on to this. It again went on to make these highs, but we stalled right at the previous high. We saw that sellers at 263, right, at the previous bar. So it is stalling right there. So this is telling us that have a spike, or today was actually a neutral extreme setup in Nifty futures. This bar at 303 would have taken out that 263 level with an IB. So there you know that we are on for a spike and you need to hold on to this call option till 329, because a neutral extreme will close at the extreme. So but immediately here we stalled right at the 263 level, and we have negated this IB. Although this is not a scenario to go short, but it is definitely giving you a clue that it is not going to close at the extreme. So this is how the call option order flow of today was in Nifty. This was a 22,000 call. So you need to match this with the context you have for the day and then accordingly take trades. So any queries on this, guys? I cover, and before we can see one last order flow chart of that 46,800 put, and see what it did today. Any queries, guys? Or do we move on to the Bank Nifty? I'll just take today's one put chart for the Bank Nifty. But before that, a quick note on what the context was. Bank Nifty had also left an FA on Friday, which was at this 47399, and we went on to make a neutral extreme close. Yesterday, as in Nifty, we made a new high in B period which got rejected, and we went on to probe lower, and the low was made in the G period, after which we gave a bounce. And this G period low, before the G period low was made, we had already completed the 180R target of 46616 in Bank Nifty. So that was after which we formed a balance. So this is how So today when, but we did not find any supply, and we took support right at this buying tail from 20th of February. You can see the AP rate low is right at the lows of the 20th February. So from here we went on to make new highs, and again what happened, we could not sustain above the POC of previous day, and you can see this pullback. The LP rate was a big red bar in Bank Nifty yesterday. So LP rate pullback held halfback, sorry, not pullback, the halfback, which ordered 46680. So the high of Bank Nifty today was right around that. So from there we reversed and we kind of left an extension handle at this buying tail, and we broke below we, we broke below this buying tail and tagged this POC. So this POC holding was one important because this was one objective. So POCs, unvisited POCs in market profile hold significance because they are the probable targets when the auction is moving in that direction, and they can also serve as important supports and resistance. So here when we had this seaside right at that POC, it was a very good seaside setup which was playing out. So this same seaside setup I would want to show you in the 46,800 put. I'll just quickly run through what happened when we made these new highs in the B period. This is the opening order flow of that 46,800 put, and how in this probe higher we got zeros on the buy side, and we make a retracement, we go down lower. This is your IBH. So the zeros what we saw on the upside in the opening bar is kind of matched by the zeros on the downside in this 945 bar. So in the B, this is where in the B period we made those new highs, but you can see in the put we are getting 0.26 buyer. So from here it went on to probe higher, and it even went above the IBH. This is that seaside which it did, correct? So we made a high of 663 and we have made this big RS bar at 658. So once this is going higher, we want it to come back into the IB, which is the initial balance. And you can see the IBH today was 618. So what we do once we get back in below 618, we go short with a stop loss at 664. You can have a small filter also, but more or less we see that it remains below this POC. As long as it is below this POC, this is a good short trade in the put. And our first target would be the VWAP, and then we will trail it to the, we will keep trailing as per the latest objective, latest references. So here we can see we are getting multiple RS right at that IBH level. So here we know that this is definitely going, looking to go more down. So typical seaside, and in the Bank Nifty we saw we have touched that VPOC, and it is a seaside extension which has left a buying tail. Everything is in the favor, and we've got the risk well defined. It is a 50-point stop loss, less than a 50-point stop loss in an option trade, which is very much worth the risk. So immediately at VWAP we will book one part and trail the rest to this IBH, which is 618. So as you can see that IBH level never came back. And if you had just taken this one trade booked part at VWAP and held on to the same put short till the close, you would have been in a good profitable position which you could have booked out. So how do we trail it further? We will trail it further when you are getting fresh signals at VWAP, this kind of signals. So here we can see if that 563, when you get that first signal, reference most of the times holds into the close. So that is the reason I was telling that 618 never broke, although these other signals were getting swipes. You can see again you have got that swipe higher here, and it keeps giving you fresh signals to short. So here you can see this IS at POC and below the VWAP. This is again a fresh below the VWAP, and already we have got a good move lower. So you should be fast enough to book profits in this. So when is the profit booking signal coming? Here, right when the POC shifts down again. So this here you will definitely book out your shorts, because from here it can give you a good bounce. So the POC shifting in after you take a trade definitely helps in this kind of move. So as we can see, this put was biased on the downside and we were getting bounces, but again they were getting sold into. So even the afternoon bounce we have got at VWAP, you can see we have zeros at this VWAP. So 480 was your high, and it was coming just below a reference of this 492, which was this POC of this IS bar. So this is where you hold. The 504 would have become your trailing reference, and this POC, once you're getting, when this and the VWAP are aligning and you're getting this signal at VWAP, it is a telling you that you can take a risk. So it went on to make new lows at VWAP, stopping short right of that 471. So what it has done, it has made a balance again on the daily time frame. Although the bias on this would be to the downside because it is closed below the VWAP, and we have got more sell signals in this than the buy. So this is what it has done. It is closed at the POC again. So as it happens in a balance, the close is around the POC or the VWAP of the day, and next day we will look for fresh signals in that particular option to take trades, and also have in mind what the market profile of Nifty and Bank Nifty is telling us. So in Nifty, we have a 2-day balance. So we will mark the value of that balance and then look for a move away from that balance in form of initiative buy or a initiative sell. So once we get that same signal in the option chart, we will go for a trade. So that is it from my side for today, guys. Any questions? And we can quickly go come address them before we wind up for the day. I'm not sure why the audio issue was today, but I'll surely give it a check. It can be because of the internet, I guess. So, any queries, guys? So, I guess then we can wrap today's session up, and hope you guys liked it. And there was some good learning takeaways from this. And we hope to keep bringing these kind of charts to you so that it can help you in uh, trading these charts better. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. And let's have a nice evening.